There are more than 100 genres of music in this world that trace back to one place, Africa. They didn't appear by accident. They were born from history, the movement of African people across the planet through the diaspora, through colonization, through exile. Music carried what couldn't be carried any other way. So this isn't just a list of styles. It's culture, it's history, it's beautiful memory and a lot of tragedy held in the same sound. Underneath all of it, something spiritual. One thing before we start, we might get something wrong along the way. If we do, be kind with us. We're doing our best to honor a musical heritage this huge, this deep, this important. Think of this as a tribute, not a textbook. We can't cover all 100, but these are the ones that changed everything. Let's go. Number 1, Afrobeats. Start with a sound the whole planet is already moving to. Afrobeats, with an S, the 21st century umbrella for modern West African pop. Born in Lagos and Accra in the 2000s, young producers raised on American hip-hop, R&B, and their parents' records, fusing it all. Digital beats, smooth melodies, lyrics in English, Pidgin, Yoruba, Twi. Then the diaspora amplified everything. London, Toronto, Atlanta. Burna Boy, Wizkid, Davido, Thames, Rema. They headline Coachella, sell out Madison Square Garden, win Grammys. Afrobeats didn't ask for permission. It just took over. Remember that S, because later I'll show you the original it grew out of. Number 2, Amapiano. From the other end of the continent, Amapiano, maybe the most important musical phenomenon of the last decade. Born in Soweto and Tembisa in the mid-2010s, deep house, jazz and kwaito built on a log drum bass line like nothing else. Piano melodies that make you want to cry and dance at the same time. Kabza De Small, DJ Maforisa, Focalistic. By 2022, the fastest growing genre in the world, not in Africa, in the world. I watched this movement grow from the inside. There's something spiritual in that log drum. You don't explain it. You feel it. Cross the Atlantic, Jamaica, reggae. The sound that turned a small island into a global spiritual voice. Reggae is Rastafari philosophy set to music. African spiritual roots, the Nyabingi drum tradition turned into song. Bob Marley made it global, but he always said, this isn't entertainment, it's a message. Reggae carries centuries of African spiritual and political memory inside a groove. Every time you hear it, you're hearing the diaspora talking to its roots. Later, I'll show you the whole Jamaican lineage it came from. And out of that same island, dancehall. More secular than reggae, more street level, built for the sound system. Vibes Cartel, Sean Paul, Beanie Man, Popcorn. The sound that crossed to West Africa and recognized something familiar because both were speaking from the same ancestral root. Dancehall is also the direct parent of Shatta and Bouillon, and those are coming up right now. Dancehall was Jamaica, but that same Caribbean energy, sound systems, carnival, island after island, took on a new shape everywhere it touched. This is the Caribbean. Soca. We're gonna party all night, all night. And this part is personal for me. Trinidad and Tobago, the home of carnival. Soca came from Calypso, itself a descendant of African work songs and griot traditions. Pure kinetic energy built to make a whole nation move as one. Lord Shorty invented it. Machel Montano made it a global brand. Every soca track at Carnival carries centuries of African memory. The music remembers even when history tries to erase. Compa. Cross to Haiti. Compa.
J'ai perdu mes réacteurs, je n'ai plus d'ailes, je ne plane pas.
created by Nemo Jean-Baptiste in the 1950s out of Haitian meringue, slow, sensual, guitar and horns locked into a hypnotic two-step. For decades, it's been the heartbeat of Haiti. It traveled across the whole French-speaking diaspora. Tabac Combo carried it from Port-au-Prince to New York. And right now, a new generation is pulling compa back into global pop. Almost everything that comes next in the French Caribbean leans on this. Zouk. Martinique and Guadeloupe, the French Caribbean, and home for me. Zouk was created by Kassav in the 1980s, building on compa, cadence, Guadeloupean rhythms, and begin with electronic production layered on top. The word just means party in Antillean Creole. Today, it's a genre, a dance, and in Brazil, it spawned a whole separate dance form. Jacob Desvarieux of Kassav. You can't tell the story of the French Caribbean without that name. Chata. Stay in the French Antilles, but Martinique now. A different generation, a different sound. Chata is dancehall filtered through French Creole, Quo-Ka drums and Afrobeats energy. Kalash took it international. It's the French Caribbean's answer to the global Afrobeats moment. Rooted, modern, completely its own. This is exactly the kind of music we fight for at Afroplug. Sounds that represent millions of people but don't always get the platform visibility. Bouillon. Dominica. The Dominican Republic, the Commonwealth of Dominica. One island, one music that exists nowhere else. Bouillon, jump-up music, is a carnival fusion of dancehall, soca, zouk, and Afrobeats. WCK built it from scratch. If you didn't know it before today, now you do. Here's the thing. None of this came from nowhere. Not the global hits, not the Caribbean. Every one of these sounds traces back to one continent. So now we go to the source. The genres that build the foundation. Most people outside Africa have never heard their names. Afrobeat.
Animal talk, don't start again.
Remember the S? This is the original. Afrobeat, no S. Fela Kuti built it in Lagos in the 1960s out of jazz, funk, Yoruba music, and high life, turned it into a weapon. His lyrics attacked the government directly. They arrested him. They burned his house down. He kept going. Massive brass. Tony Allen's polyrhythmic drumming. Songs that run 20 minutes, because why not? Almost everything in this video traces back to here, directly or indirectly. High life. Before even Fela, there was high life. Born on the Gold Coast, now Ghana, in the early 1900s. Colonial brass bands, Akan rhythms, sailors' instruments, fused into joyful guitar-driven music that became the soundtrack of independence. Without it, half of what follows doesn't exist. Makossa. Cameroon. Douala. Electric bass and syncopated horns that move your body before your brain agrees. Manu Dibongo's Soul Makossa, 1972. Michael Jackson sampled it. Cameroon influenced the king of pop directly. That's Makossa. Sukus Ndombolo. Kinshasa and Brazzaville. Two cities, one river, one shared music. Sukus came from Cuban rumba, records that traveled from Africa to Cuba and came back transformed. Fluid guitars, sophisticated arrangements. Then Ndombolo, faster, rawer. African music was never isolated. It always traveled and it always made better whatever it touched. Mbalax. Dakar, the most rhythmically complex popular music on the planet. Mbalax raps Wolof Saba, drumming around electric instruments and griot vocals. Try to count the beats, you'll get lost. That's the point. Youssou N'Dour took it global. Most complex African music? Mbalax, without hesitation. Juju. The Yoruba people, ceremony music. Juju is the talking drum in conversation with electric guitar and praise singing. The soundtrack of Yoruba social life. King Sunny Ade took it global in the 80s. You can't understand modern Afrobeats without it. Funana. Cape Verde. A small archipelago and one of the most overlooked sounds in any conversation about African music. Funana is raw, accordion-driven dance music from Santiago Island, banned under Portuguese colonial rule for being too African, too free. Independence in 1975, it became a symbol of liberation, banned by colonizers. Still here. That tells you everything. Bongo Flava. Dar es Salaam, East Africa's pop throne. Bongo Flava is Tanzanian hip-hop and R&B fused with Taarab and coastal sound in Swahili. Diamond Platnumz became one of the most streamed African artists in the world through it. A scene that never waited for Lagos or Johannesburg to validate it. Azonto, Ghana, 2011. Africa's first viral dance moment, before TikTok existed. Azonto is a genre and a dance. Fuse ODG and Sarkodie exported it to the UK. Ghana made the world do a specific dance on purpose. Before that was even a strategy. Kuduro, Luanda, Angola. A civil war and music born right in the middle of it. Kuduro, ha-ass in Portuguese, is pure energy. High beat per minute, digital percussion, acrobatic dancing, street-level truth. This music danced through a war. You can manufacture that. Kwaito, South Africa is free. Thought apartheid is over. Kwaito was the sound of that freedom. House music slowed down, mixed with township slang and street stories. Carefree on the surface, politically loaded underneath. Jikuom and Amapiano both owe everything to this. Pyom, Durban townships. A completely different register. Com doesn't try to please you, it pressurizes you. Minimal, repetitive, almost industrial. 4/4 kicks, flat loops, no melody. Tension as music. Pebes Wodumo brought it mainstream, DJ Lag took it global. In its pure form, it's built for basements at 3 a.m. That's exactly why I respect it. Afro House. And this is where we enter my territory. Afro House. Deep house at the foundation, layered with African percussion, Zulu and Xhosa chants, spiritual textures, meditative and physical at once. Black Coffee put it on every major stage in the world. Coachella, Glastonbury, Ibiza, Eno Napa, Dakapo Temba. South African DJs proved and African artists can be the best in the world at what they do, with zero compromise. There's always something from Afro House in my sets. Always Afropop, Afrofusion.
Love is not enough, baby. Come to me.
Inside the modern wave, some artists refuse the box. Afrofusion blends African DNA with R&B, trap, jazz, house, souk, Adekunle Gold, Mr. Easy, Asha, Simi, everywhere else it landed. We've heard the modern wave, we've heard the Caribbean, we've heard the roots. Now the rest of the journey, everywhere else the diaspora carried this music. Through migration and exile, much of it forced, African people landed all over this world. Everywhere they created. The Americas, Europe, Asia. Same root, different soil, same soul, jazz.
Bright blessed days, dark sacred nights.
We start where the diaspora first gave the world a brand new art form. New Orleans, end of the 19th century. Built on African foundations, West African polyrhythms, call and response from griot traditions, the blues scale, the philosophy of improvisation. Louis Armstrong, Duke Ellington, Miles Davis. Without jazz, there's no rock and roll, no hip hop, no electronic music, no modern pop, none of it. Bebop. Harlem, the 1940s. Jazz decides to go further. Bebop, Charlie Parker, Dizzy Gillespie, Thelonious Monk. Faster tempos, complex changes, virtuoso improvisation that left mainstream audiences behind on purpose. The message, we're not here to entertain you. We're here to express. That refusal runs through everything after. Funk. Then James Brown changed everything. Funk, groove first.
1, 2, 3, 4. Get up.
Strip away anything that doesn't serve the rhythm, lock bass and drums into one organism, make it impossible to resist. James Brown, Sly and the Family Stone, Parliament Funkadelic. A direct continuation of African rhythm on American soil. The emphasis on beat one, the interlocking parts, the collective groove. Hip-hop is built on funk samples. Electronic music is built on funk rhythms. The African rhythm never stopped. It just changed its clothes. Go-Go, Washington, D.C., one of America's most overlooked music cities. Go-Go is DC's own. Live percussion that never stops, continuous groove, call and response between band and crowd. Chuck Brown invented it in the 70s. When a telecom tried to silence a go-go speaker in 2019, the whole city protested. The city won. The music stayed. That's how deep it runs. Ska. Back to Jamaica, because the reggae and dancehall you heard at the start began right here. Ska, the 1950s. A newly decolonizing island hears American R&B and makes it its own. The first distinctly Jamaican popular music. Offbeat guitar chops, brass, fast-walking bass. Ska became rocksteady. Rocksteady became reggae. One foundation. Everything built on it. Ragamuffin. Reggae evolves. Digital production hits the Jamaican sound system in the 80s, and ragamuffin is born. Harder, faster, computerized. Singje vocals over sparse digital rhythms. Shabba Ranks, Buju Banton, Beenie Man. This built the bridge from reggae to dancehall and gave birth to one of the most important rhythms of the last 30 years. The dembo, we'll come back to that. Bossa Nova. Rio de Janeiro, late 1950s. Bossa Nova is samba itself rooted in Angolan and West African music, meeting American jazz harmony. João Gilberto, Tom Jobim, Stan Getz. A sound so elegant, it felt like a whisper that changed the world. Bossa Nova is what the African musical imagination sounds like when it learns to breathe quietly. Salsa, Cuba and New York, the 60s and 70s. Salsa is Afro-Cuban music colliding with New York's Puerto Rican community. At its core, the clave, pattern brought to Cuba directly from West Africa by Yoruba, Fon, and Mandinka people. Celia Cruz, Hector Lavoe, Ruben Blades, Willie Colon, the clave hasn't changed in 400 years. That's not nostalgia. That's a root that refused to die. Cumbia. The Colombian Caribbean coast. 3 roots, 1 music. Cumbia is explicitly tricultural. African drums, indigenous Colombian flutes, Spanish guitar. Born in the same coastal communities that gave birth to champeta. Today, it's the mother rhythm of Latin America, and that coast traces straight back to Africa. Champeta. Same coast, completely different energy. Champeta was born in the Afro-Colombian communities of Cartagena, directly shaped by Congolese soukous and ndombolo. Sound systems, there were spinning African records decades before the rest of Colombia knew those genres existed. Yes, it was dismissed as music of the poor, of black communities. Today, it's a pillar of Colombian identity. That didn't happen by accident. Tembo. Remember Ragamuffin? I told you we'd come back. Dembo is the rhythm, named after Shabarang's Dembo, 1992. A Jamaican dancehall drum pattern that Dominican and Puerto Rican producers made completely their own. That pattern became the backbone of reggaeton. The entire global reggaeton genre, J Balvin, Bad Bunny, Daddy Yankee, is built on a Jamaican rhythm, is built on African polyrhythm. The root goes that deep. Baile funk, funk carioca. Rio de Janeiro, the favelas. Baile funk, funk carioca was born in Rio's comunidades in the 80s out of Miami bass and electro, rebuilt by black Brazilian youth into their own. The Tamboza Soul Loop, direct lyrics about favela life. Anita took it global. MC Carol and Ladmila showed its depths. Brazil has one of the largest African diaspora populations on earth. Funk is the street music, the protest, and the party, all at once. You don't get to separate those things. Coupe de Ca. Paris, a nightclub, the Jet Set Crew, the Ivorian diaspora. Coupe de Calais was born in Paris clubs. Zouk, bass, fast percussion, lyrics that celebrate flamboyance. Superficial? No. It's cultural resistance dressed as a party. Young Africans in Paris saying, "We exist, we celebrate, you cannot ignore us." Duke Saga, DJ Jacob. Péjan, then Paris, then the world. Afrotrap. The Paris suburbs, where Africa lives in France. MHD coined Afrotrap in Saint-Saint-Denis. American Trap 808s fused with Coupe de Calais textures and Afro-bass melodies in French street slang. This generation didn't choose between being African and being French. They refused the choice. They were both, they still are. Afrotrap has shaped almost all contemporary French rap. A quiet revolution that everyone now copies. Afro swing. South and East London, a softer mood than what's coming next. Afro swing is Afrobeats melodies meeting hook R&B and grime production. Softer, more melodic. J Has built the template. Kojo Fonts, Notrice Malik Berry, YXN Bain. Afro swing paved the road for Afrobeats to score UK #1s. J Has is criminally underrated in this conversation. I'll say it. Afro drill.
See, my guy got back for the ching and the grind don't stop, so we see this dough.
And now the harder side of the UK. Afro drill is UK drill's dark minor chords meeting Afrobeats melodic bounce. Hard in the street, warm in the melody. That duality is the daily reality of young black British people who are African and British and don't feel the need to explain it. Ras Millions and Buni made it impossible to ignore with Kesha and Becky. one of the most creative subscenes in British music right now. Toronto Afrobeats wave.
I need a one dance, got a Hennessy in my hand. One more time for
The most underrated city in the Afrobeats conversation. One of the largest Nigerian and Ghanaian diaspora communities outside Africa, and that community built a scene. The Drake effect, the way he absorbed Afrobeats and dancehall and delivered it to a mainstream global audience, happened from Toronto. Canada doesn't get enough credit in this story. That ends here. Afrobeats Asia.
baby, calm down, calm down.
And then the chapter still being written. Afrobeats in Asia. Korean producers sampling Amapiano, Japanese beatmakers using Afro house textures, Wizkid, Burna Boy, and Rema climbing the streaming charts in Korea, Japan, and Indonesia since 2020. This chapter doesn't have a name yet. It's happening right now. Africa's music is finishing what it started centuries ago. It's going everywhere. 41 genres. And more than 100 we didn't even name. 6 continents. Centuries of movement. Wherever African people landed in this world, they created under every condition, against every odd. The music survived because the people survived. And the people survived because of the music. That's what you've been listening to. History, resistance, memory, joy. African music is not a trend, never was. It's the foundation. There are so many more, easily over 100. We couldn't fit them all. So if we missed yours, drop it in the comments. Teach us, make us discover it. That's the whole point.
My name is Ms Mavy. I'm a DJ, producer, and founder of Afroplug, a platform built for the producers and beat makers who make every sound you just heard. Upload your work, find your sounds, connect with 200,000 creators who speak the same language you do. Links in the description. See you there.